Hello, welcome back to Figurama for the latest unboxing as I go through my collection. Obviously, I'm a newer channel, so I've built up a little bit of a collection. So some of these figures aren't quite brand new, but now that I'm getting shelves and stuff set up in my place, it's time to start opening stuff. So what better thing to do than open them up on camera for everybody to see? So if you're on the fence about this wave, you get to see the whole wave here, because this is the Infinity Ultron wave. And I'm a newer collector. I only started collecting maybe in the last 6 months or so. So I don't have a lot of the older figures or anything. So I'm pretty picky about sort of what I get at this point. But I really wanted to get this full series because I really loved that What If episode with Infinity Ultron. I love the Infinity Gauntlet, anything to do with the Infinity Gems. And I do like most of these shows too. I know some people aren't too hot on, the new MCU TV show stuff going on, but I think it's better than many people give it credit for. And we'll talk about each characters, and I'll show some pictures from the shows as we compare the figures to the show and everything. So it's not just going to be a boring, hey, look at this, look at the joints, let's go. I want to go through the characters too, and why, check the accuracy of the costumes and stuff like that, make it a little fun. For this episode, obviously, I'm going to unbox a lot of figures at once, so I'm going to go kind of quick today, because I don't want the episode to be like an hour long or anything like that. And Marvel Legends figures are honestly pretty simple. There's not a lot of accessories or anything, so we should be able to get through them pretty good. So, but this is the whole wave here. Obviously, starts with Moon Knight. He doesn't have an Infinity Ultron piece. And then you have all the rest. So let's go over the boxes first. Let's take a peek at each box one by one, and I can get them off of here. And then, we'll look at the figures individually. So first up is Moon Knight from the new series, obviously. I have watched the series. It is pretty good. I definitely liked Moon Knight. I definitely enjoyed it. And he's sort of the linchpin of the series here. He's sort of the main focus of the whole series, I think. Because he's a classic character that they definitely revamped for the screen. Classic Marvel character. I know Marvel Legends has released a classic version of this pretty recently. I don't have it, but it's pretty cool looking. So you go art on the side. Other side thing, same art. Back is the normal stuff. Description of the character, quick description. The whole line, which I do love how Marvel Legends does this. A lot of figures like my beloved G.I. Joe Classifieds don't do this, and it's so annoying. I love it when they put, all the figures in the wave on the back, so, I at least know what I'm looking for. And obviously it's part of the Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure. Top, your Moon Knight logo, like always. Bottom, the blah blah blahs. Next up, Mr. Knight, who's also from the Moon Knight series. If you haven't watched it, maybe I won't ruin who he is, but he's an integral part of the series and a pretty cool part of the series. And he comes with Mr. Ultron's arm right here. Same thing as Moon Knight, full body picture on the side. The other side's the same. Top is the logo. All right, next up, let's talk about Miss Marvel. So this is the Miss Marvel from the new show, which we'll talk about it when we get to the individual figure. Don't quite understand this because she does not look like she does on the show. Maybe this was an old figure based on before they, casted the actress, but we'll talk about it later. But anyways, this comes with Ultron's body, Infinity Ultron's body. Side of the box is the full body shot. The other side's the same thing. Back is more concept art and, the little description, the other figures in the line, where she goes in the line. Top is the Miss Marvel logo. Bottom is the same as everything else. All right, She-Hulk is the next figure in this release. She looks just like she does on the show. Again, we'll talk about it when we get to her individually. She comes with Infinity Ultron's one of his legs. But it's the normal Marvel packaging, right? Window. This is before they went to a non-windowed package. On the side, you got the full art, same as the other side. On the back, you have her beautiful smiling face and a little blurb in many different languages about what she's about. Top is a good old She-Hulk logo, solo logo. Next up, let's cover the Hawkeye figures from the Hawkeye series. This is Kate Bishop. The Hawkeye series caught me by surprise a little bit. I wasn't so sure I would like it, but it was very good. Kate Bishop was a great character. So Kate here comes with Ultron's other leg, her bow, some hands and stuff, which we'll see out of the box. On the side, you get the full body art. Or on the back, you have the half picture shot of the actress. Kate Bishop, little description, blah, 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 same stuff. On the top, you got the Hawkeye logo, the signature Hawkeye logo. Next up, you got Mr. Hawkeye himself, Clint Barton. He comes with Ultron's arm, it looks like, his left arm there. He's got his bow, he's got his quiver. The side is the full body shot. Back, you got the upper body and all the normal stuff, little description. Top is the Hawkeye logo again, bottom's the same. And last but certainly not least, we have Sharon Carter from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And she comes with Ultron's head and his weapon, it looks like. Side of the box are full body shot. Back of the box is definitely a little more ominous than the other ones. It's a little darker. If you've seen the show, you know why. And the top of the box has Captain America's shield. All right, first up is going to be Mr. Moon Knight himself. Let's get him open. So the first thing that stands out to me about the figure is the plastic cape, right? I know why Marvel does it. Obviously, it's cheaper to do this, but I'm a super big fan of real cloth capes with wires in them. I'm a little spoiled by NECA, I think. And the problem with Moon Knight is, I don't know if you could see when I stood him up just a minute ago, he's very hard to get to stand up because the cape weighs so much, it keeps tilting him backwards. I couldn't get his feet into a position where he actually stood up without using the cape to sort of prop him up like that, if that makes sense. So I'll have to mess around with it a little bit more, but that was just, you know, the number one thing I noticed about it right away coming out of the package. However, saying that, I do love the details on the costume. I'm gonna put up some pictures here of his costume from the show so we can compare the two, see how close they get it. But looking from the pictures that I have, that I've seen, this is very close, very, very close to the show. It looks like he's wearing a big old diaper. Anyways, let's not look at that part. That's what the cape is covering up, okay? We won't judge you, Moon Knight. All right? But overall, looking at the details, you can see with some of the screenshots I'll put on the screen, I think they did a great job with the sculpt of all the bandages and everything, and the color accents, the gold and the gray. It does look just like the show. I'm very impressed by the sculpt on this for sure. If you go down to his legs, he's got the symbols painted on right there. Down to his feet. He's got big old honking feet. So honestly, cape I'm not impressed with. The sculpt I'm super impressed with. The coloring and everything. So let's check out articulation next, obviously. And I'm going to see if I can remove the cape while we do this too. So the head does pop off. Obviously there's a ball joint right there. And the cape does have a peg in the back. He does have a peg on his back. You know, make sure the cape doesn't get too fluttery. So when you put it back on, make sure you put that peg hole in there too. All right, so head's got all the movement you would need a head to have, I'm sure. You know, up, down, side to side, exorcism. Woo! Going on down the body, starting with the arms. They rotate like that. It looks like they rotate all the way around. If you do have the cape on him, it does hinder the movement just a little bit. He only goes about that far back. So it goes down, swivel there, double elbows. Get a good range of motion on those for sure. I love the coloring right here, the coloring and just the pattern from those. Hand, he comes with open hands. He does have a set of punching hands in there. So they, you know, spin around. The torso, there's not a lot of up and down on the torso. You can see this is the way his costume was designed. It has this little portion protruding down a little bit. So it definitely gets in the way of going forward or backwards. He doesn't have a whole lot. He's got a little bit more back, I guess, than forward. Forward's really where that gets in the way. So he, you know, his head can look down pretty well, but his body's not crunching down. He's not doing any crunches for you, okay? And it does rotate above the waist. It doesn't rotate at the waist, it doesn't look like. Going down, you have this soft plastic loincloth right here, so hopefully it doesn't get in the way with leg movement. On the legs, you have the normal swivel right there. Double knees. Great range of movement right there on his knees. It looks like the ankles have a hinge and they swivel around in all different directions, so you can, you know, make them do some funny stuff. So the ankles are really good, superposable. Here's some of the details on the back. Again, this big loincloth right here. I guess we don't see it in the show, but all I can think of when this is on here, it's got like a big old diaper on. So check out the legs, how far they go up. That goes up pretty far based on the loincloth, far and out. That's not bad, that's pretty good. He comes with a golden moon crescent weapon that he uses to throw in the comic and the show. It looks like he comes with two, but it's actually not. You're supposed to put them together in form one, because one side is blank on them and they obviously have a peg to hook them together. So it's only one, it's pretty thick. So I assume they did this so it'll fit in his hand. And like I said before, two punchy hands. So overall, the figure, I love the sculpt. That's the best thing about it for sure. The sculpt and all the textures in it, it's awesome. And I did discover something about the hands too. The fist hands do hinge front and back, but the open hands, they're only hinged up and down. So this one will go up and down. That's why I couldn't get it before. And this one will go, you know, front and back. So that's a difference between the two hands too. This, I don't know, looks sort of like a banana. It's a little too big, you know, but overall, I guess it looks pretty good. It looks like he has an old banana in his hand though. Next up, Mr. Knight. Let's get him out of the package. All right, here's Mr. Knight up close. The sculpt is good. There's a couple weird things that stand out to me about it though. You can tell it's a sort of mishmatch of old parts. Like the chest is obviously new. The chest is just like the show. I'll put some pictures here so you can see them too. The sculpt on the chest is real good. The textures and everything. The slightly discolored buttons on there are a nice color and they match what we've seen in the show, if that makes sense. There's no butterfly joints on the shoulders, so it's got a pretty big gap there, which is kind of, you know, funky looking, especially on this side. It's a little bit bigger than the right side. The head's an all new sculpt too, obviously. It's got the nice moon in the middle and the, you know, some of the, I don't know, cloth folds going down. I don't know what you want to call that. It looks like almost a scar or something like that. The eyes are painted too, if you can see the eye color in there. So I think the chest is new, but you can tell the arms aren't new because they have pins, right? Like Moon Knight, when you look at the Moon Knight figure, he's a completely new sculpt. So they went with a completely pinless design. So this guy, I'm guessing the torso is brand new sculpt. These arms are reissue from somewhere else. I don't know where, I'm not an expert. I just started collecting pretty recently. So this is a reuse from somewhere, obviously, because it's got pins. Because when you go down to the legs, when you go down to the knee joints, pinless, right? So it seems weird to me to have pins and pinless in the same figure, other than if these are going to be like total reuse for somewhere else. So, you know, the new sculpt, all the features on here are very good. He's very plain looking, but that's the way he was on the show, just a completely sort of white, milky figure, I guess you could say. But I do like the design, I do like the textures, I do like how clean it is. And this is a perfect, if you find this one cheap somewhere, this is a perfect body if you're looking to make some customs down the line of, you know, people in suits, I guess, because it's already, you know, plain white for you. You won't have to do much work other than paint or whatever. So let's start with the head articulation. He's looking up pretty good. He's looking down pretty good. It's got a ball joint and there's a hinge in there too. So he's got a good range of movement. Exorcist test. Passed. There's no butterfly joints there, so the arms go out about that far. They can rotate all the way around. This is soft plastic when you get near the bottom. The shoulders are a little soft too. But there's not a whole lot of range of movement, I guess you could say, in those. It does spin around good. Goes out to there. It's got the curve cut here. It's not just a straight line. I do like that on a lot of figures. It looks good. Double elbow. It's good range of motion all the way up. His punchy hands go around in a circle. He comes with punchy hands. He comes with open hands too, but the ones he comes out of the box are punchy, and it rocks forward and backwards. Going down to the legs, let's see, go up, go out a little bit. Looks pretty good. The soft plastic obviously doesn't hinder movement all that much, at all really. You got the swivel on the top of the leg, double joints in the legs. Ankle not as flexible as Moon Knight. As much movement as Moon Knight here, but it does go front and back a little bit, and then there's a ball in there too. Accessory wise, he comes with 2 of these sticks. I don't know which one to call these. There's probably an official name for them. I don't know the name. It does have some nice design work on them. He comes with 2 of them. They both look to be the exact same thing. So it does have, I like the coloring on the end. Obviously it's got gold paint on the end, and it does have a pretty intricate sculpted on design on it. So it's kind of impressive for such a small accessory. And then 2 hands, 2 open grippy hands. He's gonna be the next drummer of Rush. Last piece he comes with is not an accessory, but it's Ultron's, looks like his right arm. Infinity Ultron's right arm. Overall, not a bad figure, kind of plain, but it mirrors the show. This is what it was in the show, so it looks exactly like that here. Some reuse here, not a big deal, I don't think. It is what it is. No, his mind is not for rent. Oh, now I have Tom Sawyer stuck in my head. Okay. All right, next up, She-Hulk from her own series, She-Hulk. So let's open her up. So say what you will about the show, but so far, I am so impressed by the likeness of the actress on this figure. And again, I'll put pictures on the screen. I think the sculpt, the face sculpt and the hair sculpt of She-Hulk is just, it's a complete home run, in my opinion. I love how it's dark and it's got the green sort of highlights on top. It's super textured, and the likeness from the show is uncanny. It's awesome. And going down to her body, her costume is this is her exact jumpsuit from the show too. They got all the colors right. They got even the highlights right on the neckline and everything. The shoulders seem to be a little bit longer in the show than what they are here, but overall the jumpsuit is what I'm calling it. I don't know what you want to call it officially, but it looks just like the show. It's textured. Even different areas have different texture. Like this is a slightly different texture than that too. I hope you can see it on the camera. Anyways, I'm pretty impressed with this sculpt of her body. Her legs must be a new sculpt too. And the likeness of the actress, like it's very impressive. So let's check out the articulation a little bit. So shoulders go out like that. They spin all the way around. Head movement, I didn't go over because there really is no head movement. I'm sure you can see that coming because of the hair. The hair is, hard plastic. So there's not a lot of room to do anything because it does drape over both shoulders. So you're really not going to get anything going on with the head. If you try to move the head, you just get the torso. It looks like a zombie. Brains. So it doesn't hinder the arm movement too much. It does hit the hair a little bit and it turns the head slightly when you do the shoulders around like that. This one goes around fine. But it feels really good, really solid. So you got the cup cut there again. Double elbows, range of motion is pretty good. She comes with these flat hands. Obviously you can see that. Slap you hands. I'm pushing the wall. They look like Spider-Man hands. She does have a pair of punching hands, obviously. Because Hulk smash. That's what they do. The flat hands rock forward and backwards. Obviously, they spin around too. Torso movement. There's just this, it's the, I guess, normal female style where there's not anything right here. So they do the ball joint up top. So, you know, you could move her upper area, call it that. But the waist, you know, stays completely static. So you can still get some cool poses. It does look a little odd with the, you know, the colors. But you can still turn it around and get different poses like that. Come to the light. Legs are next. About that up. To the side. It's got a natural cut right there with her outfit. So that's where, obviously, there's a swivel. Double knee. Pinless knees. And I would say the muscle tone overall, everywhere, I think is great. It matches the show pretty well. Purposefully, I guess, they didn't make her too muscular for the show. They wanted to keep her toned down just slightly. And this matches it pretty well, and it looks super good. The muscle tone on the legs, especially. The backside. Feet go front and back pretty well. And there's a rocker there, so they go side to side. Accessories, she's very light on the accessories. All she has is 2 punching fists. And Infinity Ultron's, I guess this would be his left leg? Yes, this is the left leg, okay? Overall, I'm loving this figure. I'm not a super big fan of the show. It's, you know, it was okay, I guess. But this figure is out of this world. The likeness, the colors are great. The detail, the textures on it are great. The only problems are maybe just chest movement a little bit and head movement. If you want to get some cool poses, it might be kind of limiting in that fashion. But I love the figure, to be honest. Next up, Mr. Hawkeye himself. Let's wish Jeremy Renner a speedy recovery after a snowplow incident. If you're watching this around the time it comes out, he's doing good. He's home. So hopefully he's going to be okay from that, and we're going to get more Hawkeye in the future. And here we have Mr. Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye himself. I must say, looking at the figure, just coming out of the box, the likeness is pretty close. It's not perfect, but, you know, I think they did pretty good with the likeness. And I love how he has the double band-aids, you know, stitched on his eyebrow like he does in a lot of the Avengers movies too. He's always getting beat up because, you know, he's the regular human of the crew. So the likeness, the eyes are pretty good. They gave him a little bit of facial hair. He's got a, you know, 5 o'clock shadow on his mustache and his little goatee right there. He's got the faux hawk going on, the nice brown faux hawk. But overall, the head looks really good. Like, it looks pretty close to the actor. And most of this body must have been a new sculpt because the body is unique. The shoulders are unique. This little line on the arms is actually sculpted in too. So that's got to be all new sculpts. The waist, the crotch piece, maybe the legs aren't new, maybe they're reused for something, but costume wise, this is very close to the show. Come around to the back, it's got, you know, the wrist strap, it's gonna hold his arrows right there. The pockets, the butt pockets, he's got them. And Hawkeye's always had one of those unique costumes, like the purple and the black, you know, it stands out a little bit from all the other Avengers. It looks good, especially, it's got even this strap right here, the strap going down like that, and then around to the back. So articulation wise, he's got the butterfly joint that a lot of the male characters have nowadays. It's not very big, meaning there's not a huge range of movement because it looks so small. I've seen butterfly joints that are a little bigger than these, even on the Marvel figures. It's very small, so there's not a ton of movement there, but it's there. Arm can go out to about there, come back, spinning around, no issues there at all. It's got the, you know, the cup, the muscular cut right there. I don't know what you want to call that. Double elbows. Reach for the sky. Scratches back a little bit. The hands that he comes with are obviously a bow holding hand and a bow flinging fingers. He's got another set of hands in there. I think they're both punching hands. We'll see them in a second. The bow hand goes forward, backwards. Obviously spins around. Thwippy hand goes forward, backwards, spins around again. I forgot to go over the head articulation. So let's do it now. It's as far as it goes up. You can go down pretty well. And exorcism. He's got kind of a long neck. If you look at him, kind of a long neck there. He's got the sort of giraffe thing looking on. But you can put it, if you hunch it forward a little bit, it does help that look when you're looking straight on. All right, torso, he's got that big range of motion right there. Swivel at the waist. Going down to the legs, straight up. Oh, he's got a lot of movement right there. Almost straight out. Swivel at the hip. Double knees, double knees, double knees. Gets pretty far back. Feet go back, forward. Doesn't go forward very much. It stops right there, but then it also goes back and forth around the world. I'm sure you're going to be able to stand him up just fine. Quiver with 6 different arrows. These arrows, as far as I can tell, don't come out, which is probably good. You would lose them. I would lose them. My cat would eat them, my hamster or something. But it's just a straight black, kind of plain quiver that'll hook into his back. Here's his trusty bow. It's obviously mostly plain black, but it does have, a painted on handle here. The sculpting details are pretty good. It is a little plain, right? It's not like you're gonna get a neck up paint job with this or anything, but it does its job. 2 hands, both punching hands, and Infinity Ultron's left arm. I think I called the other arm left arm, didn't I? Well, this is definitely the left arm. So the other one must have been the right arm. I don't know. We'll see at the end. If he's got 2 left arms, it's not my fault, okay? He's got the Infinity Stones. He can do whatever he wants. So obviously bow and arrow. He's got a hole in the back. In there. And I think he has his arrows. I think he has his arrows to his right side, because that's where he grabs it with his hand. That's the arrow grabbing hand. There he is with his bow, grabbing an arrow out of the quiver. Quiver doesn't stay in all that well. It slowly slides out by itself, it seems like. But it fits in there pretty good. We'll see after it's been on the shelf for a little bit what it's like. But overall, another pretty good figure. I think it matches the show pretty well. Looks like the actor. All right, next up, his compatriot from the show, Kate Bishop. Let's open her up, check her out. So up close looking at the figure, the likeness on this one is a little miss for me. To me, it looks more like Megan Fox from Transformers than the actress that actually plays Kate Bishop on the show. But, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. Let's just say that. The costume, on the other hand, seems to be super accurate to the show. I'll put some pictures here again so we can all see. Coming up from behind. One difference between her and Hawkeye is her quiver is actually attached to these straps right here, whereas his quiver, the rope for his quiver is sort of attached to his jacket. So the way they did that was they just sculpted it in. That's why you put the quiver on the back. But hers is actually, a separate piece. And I like this look much better. It looks like it's actually, a real thing being held on there. So I like this quiver for sure. It is curved quite a bit from the package. Maybe, if you want to straighten that out, you do a heat gun or something. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this, remember? I'm just a dude. But anyways, her costume is definitely show accurate. It looks very nice. The details, the sculpting, the textures again, they did a really good job. And this must be an all new sculpt again. So going back to the head sculpt, the likeness is pretty close. It's not super accurate, but I do like the hair. I like how they did, the 2 tufts of hair to the right and left of her. And then in the back, you got the ponytail. And the ponytail's I don't know, it's harder plastic, harder than softer, I guess you could say. So it does tend to hit this quiver. And so she can't look up very much, right? Because it's hitting the quiver right there. So that's as far as she can look up, if that makes sense. Looking down is no problem at all. But looking up, you got the quiver and the hair sort of clashing in the back a little bit. So it could have been better if they just moved this over to the side or something first, or like that, But, it is what it is. That's the way it is. So that's the head. Going to the articulation, she does have butterfly joints in there, right? So it makes me wonder why they just didn't put him in She-Hulk. They just left him off of She-Hulk, but they have him in almost all the other figures in this line. I don't know. Go figure. So the arm goes out. It's got a good range. Goes up higher than most of the other figures. All the way around. No obstruction there. Good double elbows. She gets a great range of motion. Straight up there. She's got 2 closed hands, and she comes with 2 open hands too. So the closed hands go forward and backwards. Obviously around. And if I remember correctly, she's left-handed. So she shoots the bow. She holds the bow with this hand. So this hand typically will be an open hand. If she has her bow in your display or whatever, this is going to be your open hand right here. So looking at the torso, she has the normal female articulation where it's up, you know, the upper chest is the point of turning. The confusing thing about this bottom part is this is separated. This is 2 separate pieces, but it doesn't appear there's any joint there. It does not turn whatsoever at the waist. So it's like glued on. There's no joint there for some reason. I don't really understand why, or else mine's really stuck or something, but like literally you cannot turn this at all. So she does not have a great range of movement. She only has that top part, and the top part doesn't even move all that much. I know it does look kind of awkward with that black line straight down the center too. Like when you do turn her, it looks kind of, you know, they're action figures. What can you do? So let's move on down to the leg. So again, there's no articulation in the hips at all, right? It's going to be completely straight right there, even though it is 2 pieces. So legs go up, go out, double knees, just like most of the other figures in this line. Foot forward, back, rocks back and forth, spins around. Bam. I like her boots. I like the nice shiny dark color of her boots. All right, next up is her bow. It's a little bit different than Hawkeye's, obviously. It's a different kind of bow. It's got the 2 color going on. It's got, you know, straight black paint. It's got some brown on the front, some wood grain on the front. The string is a little, I don't know, bent from the package. It's not very straight, but I guess, I mean, you know, if she's going to pull an arrow back or something like that. Well, I think I bent it even more. It's okay. But that's her bow. It's definitely different than Hawkeye's. Hands, these are those other hands that we talked about. Open hands. And Infinity Ultron's right leg, it looks like. Nice and shiny. There she is with her accessories, with her open hand. And obviously this open hand can't hold the string. I didn't really think of that. So if you're going to have her holding the string, then you might need to use the other grippy hand rather than the open hand. But she looks good with the bow for sure. She fits the aesthetic of the show. She fits the aesthetic of Hawkeye. The only thing I'm not super happy with is the likeness of the head. It could use a little work. And the articulation on her is not that great. The ponytail keeping her head from moving very well is another sort of negative, but overall it's a pretty decent figure. All right, next up we got Sharon Carter from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. She's also in some of the early Captain America movies, but this is obviously specifically from the TV show Falcon and the Winter Soldier appearance. So looking at it up close, this was definitely the most boring figure of the line to me, the one I didn't want all that much. But it's more impressive than I initially anticipated. I think they did a pretty good job with the likeness on the face. The hair sculpt too is pretty good. And I like how they did the jacket, because this is obviously one of her specific costumes in the show, which I'll show on the screen here. She's got this green outer jacket and then a blue, like a dark blue hoodie underneath. And a lot of times on the show she had her hood on. So that would be my biggest complaint about this, is it didn't come with an alternate hooded head. I think that would have been pretty neat. I'll put that picture on the screen too, so you can see her hooded head. But anyways, this it looks like her base body. There's a base body down here, and it's got 2 layers of, you know, soft plastic, like the base body, the soft blue plastic hood, and then this green jacket on the outside too. And I'm not going to take her apart, but I'm willing to bet these parts actually are loose parts, like you could take off, like take her arms off, head off. You could actually take this off, and there's just a base body down inside. So I think touches like that to layer it on there like it did on the show, I think that's pretty cool. And going around the back, you can see, that's the bottom of the hood. She normally has it obviously over her head. But they did a good job keeping them, separate pieces, and keeping the hair doesn't, disrupt that at all. However, head movement, obviously we know this from female characters. Head movement typically is going to be a pretty big issue. So, she doesn't turn around because her hair, gets caught on the hoodie. But the likeness is pretty good. I like the jacket, meaning the jacket is definitely show accurate. If you look at the shots that I'll put on the screen, it's definitely show accurate. She's got the hoodie and everything going down to the legs. She's got the boots that go up to about here. A little darker paint job on those, a little shinier. So overall, the likeness from the show I think is pretty good. It's definitely better than I anticipated it would be, even though she's not my favorite character anymore. No spoilers, but if you haven't watched the show, but I'm not really sure I like her character arc in the show and where it ended up. Not a super big fan of it, but we'll see what happens in the future with the next Avengers movies, the next Captain America, New World Order, or whatever it's called. We'll see if she plays a part in it. So, arm goes out, doesn't go very high, goes around, the hair doesn't really get in the way of either side. There's only single elbows. You know what that means? These arms are probably reused from an old figure. Because as far as I know, they're trying to move to, pinless designs, double elbows, double knees. That's just the way the industry is going. So these being single elbows, I think, yes. Sorry, I'm trying to look through my camera. These being single elbows, tell me that this is probably reused from something. The jacket's probably a new sculpt because her jacket's pretty unique and this matches the show. Body's probably reused from somewhere too, since it's just a plain, black jumpsuit body. Alright, she's got slightly open fists here. Forward, backwards, around. Normal female torso, I would say. Goes around at the upper body. The lower body doesn't turn whatsoever. So, you can give her like that, where she looks really awkward and she looks like she's going to die. But I don't know what kind of posability you would want this with the big jacket on it. All right, going down to the legs. Up. Ooh, she almost kicked the camera. Out. Oh, nice. That's a nice range right there for sure. And the jacket doesn't hinder it too much. The jacket's pretty soft. So back down. We've got a swivel right there. Double knees, and these are pins. So again, I bet you these legs are reused from somewhere. I'm not a super expert. I don't know all the figures ever made, so I don't know what these are from. Maybe someone could tell me in the comments. So it's a pretty good range. It does stop there. The jacket does hinder it slightly, but it's not too bad. Ankles, it's as far as it goes forward. It's not very far. Backwards, it goes back a lot. Joint there, Marvel Legends joint. So overall, I'm happier with this than I anticipated. She's still kind of a boring character with me. If I wasn't doing the Build-A-Figure, I probably would not have bought this character. But I don't know. It's good to have her, I guess. First accessories is plain black knife. Not super excited about this. There's no paint on it. There's no nothing. It's very boring and plain. But she's got a knife. She's got to defend herself somehow, I guess. Right? Got a good old riot stick here, too. I guess she would hold this end. I guess that's the handle right there. So yeah, so good old riot stick. Like every police person needs. Punching hands for when words don't work anymore. Mr. Infinity Ultron's head, which if you haven't seen the show, it's actually, if you see inside the mouth, that's actually Vision's face. It's Vision's body. With like Ultron pieces over the top, essentially. So I don't think this opens. Yeah, it doesn't open. In the show, it opens a lot, and you can see, Vision's face down underneath, but it does not open. All right, two pieces that make up Infinity Ultron's lance, and you can see out of the box, one of them is pretty bent. The tip right here. It's very soft plastic, but maybe I could try to bend it in together. But anyways, it obviously goes together like this, and we'll see that when we get to that figure. So I'd say the figure's pretty good. It's just a boring character to me. That's all I would say. It's not one I'd normally get if it wasn't for the Build-A-Figure that I really wanted. And last but not least, Miss Marvel herself, from the highly anticipated Miss Marvel TV show that me and my daughter really loved. We watched it together. This is the one that doesn't make sense to me, because this line is all about the MCU TV shows, right? All the likenesses are pretty good. Some of them are great, some of them are a little weak, but they're okay. They look relatively like the actress. This one looks nothing like Kamala Khan from the TV show at all. What this looks like is her version from the Avengers video game that came out maybe a year or two ago. But this costume is her show costume. Like, the costume is show accurate, which you'll see. So the costume is show accurate, but this does not look like the actress whatsoever. This looks like the actress from the video game. So I don't know if it's a case of they designed this figure too early, maybe before the show was cast or something like that, because obviously there's a big lead time on a lot of this stuff too. But it just doesn't make sense to me why everything else would be so accurate and this one can be so off. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on the sculpt and everything right off the bat. So looking at it up close, I like how the sash here is a separate piece. It does look good. It flows. It's nice soft plastic. I like that. Her outfit right here, it's gonna hinder. Let's start at the legs, right? Because I just noticed it really hinders leg movements. Like, that's as far as you can get the leg up. That's as far as it goes, right? So I don't even know what kind of articulation is in there or anything like that, because this it's pretty hard and tough, right? And so that's as far as it goes up. Obviously this leg you can't do anything with at all. Almost nothing. So her posability is probably the most limited in the line for sure. So likeness I'm not fond of, posability I'm not fond of. So this is definitely the weakest figure in the line. But let's go over articulation. It's no butterfly joint. So, goes out like that, goes up and around. The head only blocks it a tiny bit and it moved around. Single elbows, so no double elbows. The open fist hand goes up and down rather than front and back. And obviously spins around. And the other fisty one goes up and down too on the other side. She's got the bangle from the show here too, if you don't know. The other knock I would give this so far, we haven't looked at the accessories yet, but she doesn't come with any power accessories. Like, if you've seen the show, her powers manifest themselves as like a crystal sort of thing, and there's no effects in the set. That seems like a no-brainer for me. That's another reason why I think maybe this was designed before the show was done or being produced or something like that, by not including those for sure. So torso, normal female thing, just the upper body, nothing right here, nothing at all. I don't know obviously what's underneath all of this. It's probably just a plain body. So legs, you got your double knees, goes up pretty good. Right, feet forward, backward, all the way around. I like her shoes. She looks good with her shoes on. The sneakers almost make the outfit, right? I like the old school Converse looking shoes she's got on. But that's the figure. Like I said, I don't know why it doesn't look more like the show, but the only thing she comes with are two punching fists, and that's it. But she does come with the showcase piece for Infinity Ultron, the torso. Maybe that's why she didn't include power pieces, because this took up a lot of the budget for the figure, maybe. I don't know. But there's Infinity Ultron's torso with his cape on the back. And we'll build the figure next. We'll see what it looks like. But I do like, I like cloth capes with wires. I know that. But the cape is pretty well done. And I actually like how they did the cell shading on the inside. I like this darker shading on the inside. It looks good. All right, let's commence assembly on Infinity Ultron. And here he is, all built in all of his glory. So my first impression is that legs look a little skinny to me. Looks like he skips leg day, for sure. But I mean, I guess it's pretty similar to the show. Obviously, I've inspected the etchings, the gold etchings on all the body, all the, sculpted on designs and stuff. And I'll put some screenshots here again. And it's all very accurate to the show, for sure. He's very menacing, just like he was on the show. Obviously, if this guy's coming at you, you're terrified. You're just terrified. All the Infinity Stones are on there in the right order. He's got the yellow one on his head. All the rest of these, time in the middle. And looking at the sculpting details, it does match the show very accurately. Even to the rivets on this crotch piece right here. The rivets are the same and everything. So they did a good job with that. I never really saw his back, but I like these wings poking up from under the cape. That's a pretty cool touch. And obviously they hold the cape on too. They help hold the cloak on too. So that's pretty cool. Obviously all new sculpt for everything, I'm sure. So everything looks good. Everything flows good. I like the color, the slightly metallic grays, not too shiny, not too dull. I think they did a good job with that. The only thing I wish his helmet popped open so you could see the Vision face inside. That's really the only thing on my wish list for what this looks like here. And a cloth cape with wires, but Marvel Legends is not going to do that. Let's talk about articulation. Obviously the arms, he's got these big honking shoulder pads on, right? So these arms aren't going to do much. That's as far as movement as you're really going to get with those. It does go down to, cool double elbows. You can reach up pretty far. He's only got obviously one set of hands, so an open hand on this side and a grip hand on this side. So this side obviously is the side he holds his spear in. His gigantic spear that's longer than his body. Chest articulation, there's just one in there and it doesn't move all that much. There's a lot of, obviously these things protruding down a little bit hinder all sorts of movements in there, and there's no articulation right here at the bottom. So it's just like, that's pretty much as far as you can go. He's going to be a very static piece in your display if you display him. Legs articulation at the top where we pop them in. I like those rivets right there. Got the double knees with the knee guard, just like the show. It looks very good. It goes about that far back. Feet goes forward quite a lot more than some of the other characters. Back, then around. Head is a ball joint like we saw, so you can go around, but there's not much up and down like that, up about that much. And the cape, like we've talked about, is, hard plastic, so there's not much posability there. If anything, they put it off center a little bit. I'm not sure. I guess they did that just for aesthetics, but I don't know. I don't know if I like it off center like that a little bit, but that's what we got. So until someone makes a custom cloth cape with wire, that's what it's going to be. So overall, I like the Build-A-Figure. I loved this episode of the What If show. So I had to get the series just for this figure. And that's how they trick you into doing it. That's how they trick me into buying, Sharon Carter. But it worked. You got my money. So I definitely like this. It's a unique thing. It probably won't come around ever. It was just in that What If episode. So the series might be hard to get down the line a little bit for just this figure. Who knows? All right, here's Moon Knight, Mr. Knight, and She-Hulk with a couple more Marvel Legends, MCU Marvel Legends specifically. She-Hulk is probably, about 7.5 inches tall. Oh, Moon Knight, less than that, a little less than 7. He is hunched forward a little bit because I can't get him to stand up still. And Mr. Knight is about the same as Moon Knight, 6.5 or so. And here's the other ladies from the line, Kate Bishop, Sharon Carter, and Miss Marvel. Let's check out their heights. So Kate Bishop is about 6.5, a little under. Sharon's a little bit taller than that. And then you got Miss Marvel, definitely under the 6-inch mark. 5 and, 6/8, something like that. And you can see them all compared to Captain America here and Scarlet Witch. So another female figure in the line. Here's the odd man out, Hawkeye, Clint Barton. You can see he's a little bit taller than Captain America. I'm surprised. I thought he would be shorter than Captain America. Looks like a little under 6.5 inches tall. And this is the only comparison you need for Infinity Ultron. Infinity Ultron with Thanos. This is the Walmart exclusive Thanos, the comic book style, not the MCU. I don't have an MCU Thanos. But this is who he defeated in What's If. So you can compare the two, I guess. And Mr. Ultron, his body goes to about 7 inches, a little under 7 inches. His sphere is actually almost 11 inches, 10 in a little over a half. Now it's time for the montage. So overall, the series is okay. It's the first series I've ever bought, a complete series of for the Build-A-Figure line. And definitely the quality of the line has some super highs, but it has some super lows too. And that's probably how all these work out. I don't know. I'm new to this, so. And if you want to get any of these figures, I have a link to the Big Bad Toy Store links down below. Alright, thanks for watching. Peace out. Congratulations for making it to the end of a video. Thanks for the support by subscribing and following. My links below. And if you want cool merch like our Bloody Star channel shirt, go to shop.enemyzero.com. Take care.